Hey, greetings. This is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 176. My favorite timeshare locations. Yeah, I thought I'd finally get around to talking about that. But first, let me talk about the overview here. First, and more importantly, something that you can use is my process for finding my favorites. I think that's the process that when I share it, you'll feel comfortable knowing you can do that. And the second thing is it's kind of part of the process, but learn how you like to travel. Sometimes that can go a long way to just helping you find that favorite location or favorite locations. Um, and then my next one is how I know when I've found my favorites. And then lastly, I'll give you actually my timeshare travel favorites, and there's quite a few of them since I actually am very happy in many different places, but I'll explain why I like them, and that may help you figure out what's good for you. Okay, but before I do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my channel. So hang in there. I'll be right back to dive into the details. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. I'm back. So here's my process for finding my favorites. Take the time to travel enough to ensure you experience many options. Try not to go into preconceived notions about what you like, explore, figure that out. Now, before you go, I'm not expecting everyone to do what I did, which was travel for a year and a half plus living in timeshares to figure out where where your favorites are. Although if you can do it, I recommend it because it was quite a joy for me. But the way I experimented, I think that was a good example. And I was actually actively trying to see how many I could stay at just to experience more. Some people might see that grueling, but to me, it was a lot of fun. Um, the other thing is, I would pick some locations. Experience Hawaii. It's part. I mean, most of these are all domestic. Because of COVID, I didn't really do much international travel. I'll be doing more of that in years to come. Experience mountains. I like hiking and something about the wind in the mountains and the waves in the ocean. They sound or feel the same to me. Maybe they don't sound the same, but they do kind of sound the same because they feel the same to me. Um, and experience the coast. That's both the east and the west coast. I focus more on the west coast because that's where I live. So I hadn't done that much of the east coast, but I did do some just to feel comfortable that either way would be good with me. And then experience to me the southwest and possibly the northeast, although I didn't do that much there. It's just to me it's too crowded, and I prefer the southwest. So there's some interesting things there. So that's kind of my process for finding my favorites. And then my kind of the next dimension of that is learn how you like to travel, because once there's the location component, and then there's getting there and being there and so forth. And that my questions here that I think you need to think through are: do you like driving trips, or do you prefer to fly? Is you one of those people like, I just want to fly, land, and now explore from there? Or no, I like the process of driving. Do you like oceans or mountains? Or plains or whatever you might be. What's the type of locations? Are you a high energy getaway wherever you go? You're on the go, 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 go? Or are you just a little more relaxed and taking time with that? Hey, or the next question is, do you want to travel with family and friends as a must? And there's a level of coordination that's required for that. But if that's, more than offsets any work that might be to coordinate, that's fabulous. Prefer U.S. or international trips? That's sort of related to the high energy getaways or time to relax. And then there's a preference for the East Coast, West Coast, or both. And those again, all these different ones are interwoven because it could be your family's all on the East Coast, so you like the East Coast because you like doing the family and friends getaway. So anyway, all those things I think are really important to consider. Okay, how do I know when I found my favorites? For me, it's a feeling. The two main feelings I have are I know I found my favorite when it's time to leave, and I don't mean go back to work or anything like go back to your life. I mean I just don't want to leave the place. I'm thinking I wish I could live here, or those kind of feelings when you're drawn to it. And then this other side of that one is my favorite places feel like a celebration, like oh my gosh, I'm the luckiest person I get to come here again. And when I feel that, that is a way that so know that it's one of my favorites. Um, Another thing that I kind of do is I'll have an area where I've got multiple timeshares that I'm less particular about the timeshare that I stay in, but I list any one of them is fine because I get to be in the area. So sometimes it can be confusing because you're thinking about location, like what actual unit you like to be in, and I don't always feel that. I just feel like it doesn't matter which one I'm in because I'm here and I can go to any one of the multiple locations in that. The other thing is I have my favorite activities. Mine are hikes, coffee tasting, wine tasting, and just relaxing. If some place is just so easy to relax, it gets onto my favorite list fairly quickly because I don't want to leave, and it feels like I'm rewarding myself when I get there. Um, the last piece is it's kind of a little bit special. There's a section I have targeted for weekend getaways. So a lot of locations in California where that would be Tahoe or the wine country or even Southern California, just are really great for me just because I can do them in a long weekend. So that makes them special. So there you go. That's how I have found my favorites, and hopefully that will help you find yours. Okay, lastly, and this I started out doing this and I realized, hey, gee, I have a lot of favorites, but hey, I've been living in timeshares, I've been traveling all over, so it's kind of hard for me to be like that narrow since I've had so many wonderful experiences. But let me just go through the ones that come to mind, fairly top of mind. All the Hilton Grand Vacations on the Big Island, they're all in the same area. I love the area. I love walking along I love the Big Island. I love that it's relaxing, not crowded, and there's beautiful hikes along the area. And all the Hilton Grand Vacations are all within walking distance of each other, so that's great. Then if you go to the other island, Kauai, which is kind of the lush tropical one, Marriott's got a ton of places, and my favorite is actually the parlor at the Kauai Beach Club, just because it's the least number of points and the pool is probably the greatest pool in the world. But I also like all the Club Wyndhams. There's just so many of them on Kauai. You can always get one. So it's not one of those. I want to go to Kauai. I want to enjoy the experience, and you can find a place. Maybe not the week before, but as long as you're a couple months out, you'll find a place. So the other thing is I like the Abounds or Marriott Experience locations in Palm Springs and Phoenix, and that's kind of unique because they've done a really good job of most of the timeshares have the hotel close by, so you end up with double the pools and you have access to like restaurants, but you can also cook. So it's not 100% of the Marriotts, but several of them in Phoenix and several of them in Palm Springs also have very similar capabilities. So I kind of like what Marriott has done. I mean, Worldmark has some nice, and Hilton is developing some nice locations, but those are relatively new for Hilton. So my favorite would be in the Marriott and in the Palm Springs and Phoenix, and then Lake Tahoe, just because it's one of the weekend trips for me. But I just like the mountain air and things like that, and it's a very close drive for me. It's a 3-hour drive, and I'm in the mountains, so I can do a weekend or even a 3-day weekend. And there's Marriott, Hilton, and Wyndham's solutions for that. Um, um, I love the Oregon coast and Washington coast. It's a little more rugged. It can be even when it's in the winter and it's cool and rainy. It's kind of like you feel like you've got the space to yourself, and I kind of like that sort of walking along the beach or along the rocks, and it's a little more rugged. Feels outdoorsy. Feels like kind of like being in the mountains, but you're not in the mountains. You're in the ocean, so it's a good combination. And then Marriott, Hilton, Wyndham all have Colorado and Utah mountain options. I've actually driven through Colorado, staying at just Worldmark, all the way to Utah, and just spending 2 weeks driving between the two, and only staying 3 days at one location, and ended up staying at like 4 different ones over a 2-week period. So that was kind of fun. I really like doing that. And then California wine country, and that includes both Southern California and Northern California, because there's just a lot of wineries there. And it's not so much, I'm not that heavy of a wine drinker. I just enjoy it and enjoy the sort of atmosphere of it, and so forth. Anyway, those are my favorites. If I would love for you to leave some comments in the about your favorites. I'd love to hear more from you on what you like, and hopefully this process is more important to help you find what are your favorites. Hope you give it like this, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Happy traveling.